Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right with women, but something still isn't working? Like no matter how available you are, how much effort you put in, her interest keeps fading? If that sounds familiar, there's a reason, and it's probably not what you think. Here's what most men get wrong. They think being low value is about money, status, or looks. But it's not. A man becomes low value through his behavior, through tiny decisions he makes every single day that he doesn't even notice, small patterns that feel completely normal to him but signal weakness to her. And here's the thing. These behaviors are invisible to most men. You can't fix what you can't see. That's why today, I'm going to show you 7 specific signs that reveal when a man is sliding into low-value territory. Not the surface-level stuff you've heard before, the real patterns that quietly kill attraction, the ones women notice but never tell you about. And for each one, I'll give you the exact fix so you can reverse course immediately. Pay attention to sign number 4. That's where most men completely fall apart. Now before we dive in, let me be clear about something. This isn't about making you feel bad about yourself. This isn't about telling you that you're broken or that you need to become someone you're not. This is about awareness. Because the truth is, most men who slip into low-value patterns are genuinely good guys. They have good intentions, they care, they try hard, but somewhere along the way, they picked up habits that work against them, habits they learned from movies, from bad advice, from watching other men fail and copying them without realizing it. The goal here isn't to tear you down, it's to show you what's been invisible so you can finally fix it. Let's get into it. Here's the thing most men don't understand. Low value isn't something that happens overnight. It's gradual, it's slow, it creeps in through small compromises you make every single day. And by the time you notice something's wrong, the damage is already done. You start wondering why she doesn't look at you the same way, why the texts get shorter, why she seems less excited to see you, and you think maybe it's her. Maybe she's just busy. Maybe she's going through something. But deep down, you feel it. Something shifted, and you don't know what you did wrong. That's the trap. Because these behaviors don't feel wrong when you're doing them. They feel normal. They feel like you're just being a good guy, being available, being understanding. But from her perspective, something else is happening. She's watching you slowly become predictable. Safe, easy to have, and when that happens, attraction doesn't just fade, it dies. The worst part? She won't tell you. Women rarely explain why they lose interest. They just pull back. They get distant. And you're left trying to figure out what went wrong when the answer was right in front of you the whole time. That's why what I'm about to show you matters. So here's what we're going to cover. 7 specific signs that reveal when a man is sliding into low-value territory. These aren't surface-level things like your job or your car. These are behavioral patterns, the things you do and say that quietly signal weakness without you even knowing it. And for each sign, I'm giving you the exact fix. Not theory, not vague advice. Specific actions you can take starting today. Let's start with sign number 1. Sign number 1. You seek validation constantly. This is where it all starts, and it's so common that most men don't even realize they're doing it. You send her a message and immediately check to see if she's read it. You say something and watch her face to see how she reacts. You change your opinion when she disagrees because you don't want to create tension. You ask questions like, "Are you okay?" or "Did I do something wrong?" when she's quiet for a few hours. On the surface, this looks like you care, but underneath, it signals something else entirely. It says you need her approval to feel okay about yourself. It says your emotional state depends on her response. And women pick up on this instantly, not consciously, but they feel it, and when they feel it, attraction starts to fade. Because a man who needs validation is a man who doesn't trust himself. And if you don't trust yourself, why should she? Here's the fix. Stop measuring yourself by her reactions. Her mood is not your report card. When you say something, stand behind it. When she's quiet, let her be quiet. Don't fill every silence with reassurance seeking. The goal isn't to become cold or distant. It's to become grounded. A man who knows his own value doesn't need constant confirmation from anyone else. That sense of security, women find it magnetic because it tells them you're stable, you're safe, you're not going to crumble the moment things get hard. But here's where a lot of men take this too far, and that brings us to sign number 2. Sign number 2, you over-explain yourself. This one is sneaky because it feels like communication, but it's actually the opposite. When she questions something you did, you launch into a 5-minute explanation of your reasoning. When she seems upset, you immediately start defending yourself before she even says what's wrong. When plans change, you give her a detailed breakdown of exactly why and how. You think you're being transparent, you think you're being fair, but what she hears is something different. She hears a man who's afraid of being misunderstood, a man who can't handle the discomfort of someone being upset with him. Over-explaining is a form of seeking approval. It's saying, please understand me so you won't be mad, and that energy is exhausting. It makes her feel like she's responsible for your emotional state, like she has to constantly reassure you that everything's fine. Here's the fix. Say what you mean, once, then stop. You don't owe anyone an essay on why you made a decision. If she asks a question, answer it simply. If she's upset, let her be upset. You don't need to fix every silence or smooth over every tension. A high-value man speaks with clarity, not with anxiety. He trusts that his words are enough. He doesn't need to explain himself into acceptance. And here's the connection. When you stop over-explaining, you stop seeking validation through words. The two feed each other. But there's another sign that most men completely overlook, and it has nothing to do with how you communicate. Sign number 3. You've stopped taking care of your body. This isn't about having a six-pack or looking like a model. It's about effort. It's about what your physical state says about how much you respect yourself. When a man stops working out, starts eating poorly, lets himself go, it sends a message, not just to women, but to himself. It says, I've given up. It says, I don't think I'm worth the effort, and women notice this. Not because they're shallow, but because your physical energy reflects your mental state. A man who takes care of his body is a man who takes responsibility. A man who lets himself decay is a man who's checked out. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You can't expect her to be attracted to you if you're not even trying to be attractive. Attraction isn't just emotional, it's biological. And when you neglect your body, you're fighting against nature itself. Here's the fix. You don't need to transform overnight, but you need to start. Move your body, eat with some intention, get enough sleep. These aren't just health tips, they're respect signals. They tell her and yourself that you're still invested in who you're becoming. When you take care of your body, you carry yourself differently, you speak differently, you show up differently. That energy is something women feel without you saying a word. But physical health is just one piece. The next sign goes deeper. It's about what you're actually building with your life. Sign number 4, and this is the one I told you to pay attention to. You have no mission outside of her. This is where most men completely fall apart, because without even realizing it, they make her the center of their universe. She becomes the goal, the prize, the thing they're working toward. And that might sound romantic, but it's actually the fastest way to lose her. Here's why. A man without a mission is a man without direction. He drifts. He reacts. He waits for life to happen to him. And when a woman looks at a man like that, she doesn't see a partner. She sees a project, a responsibility, someone she has to carry. Women are drawn to men who are going somewhere, men who have a vision, men who wake up with purpose that exists whether she's there or not, because that tells her something important. It tells her that he values himself, that his life has meaning beyond the relationship. Here's the fix. Find something that matters to you, a skill you want to master, a goal you're working toward, a problem you want to solve. It doesn't have to be world-changing, it just has to be yours. When you have a mission, you stop being available all the time, not because you're playing games, but because you're genuinely building something, and that shift in energy, she'll feel it immediately. If you've recognized yourself in any of these signs so far, don't worry. The fact that you're still here means you're ready to change. Now let's talk about something that destroys attraction faster than almost anything else. Sign number 5. You're emotionally reactive. This means when she pulls back, you panic. When she says something that bothers you, you snap. When things don't go the way you expected, you spiral. Emotional reactivity tells a woman one thing, that you can't handle pressure, that your stability depends on external circumstances, and that if life gets hard, she'll be the one carrying the weight. Here's the thing. It's not about suppressing your emotions or pretending nothing bothers you. That's not strength, that's denial. Real emotional control is feeling what you feel without letting it control your actions. When she cancels plans last minute, a reactive man gets upset, questions her, makes it a big deal. A grounded man says, "No problem," and goes about his day. Not because he doesn't care, but because one canceled plan doesn't shake his foundation. Here's the fix. Start noticing your triggers. When do you feel that urge to react? That need to defend, explain, or escalate? That's your signal to pause, take a breath, respond instead of react. This is where all the previous signs connect. When you're not seeking validation, not over-explaining, not neglecting yourself, and not making her your mission, emotional stability becomes natural. You're not reacting because you have nothing to prove. Women test men's emotional stability constantly, not because they're manipulative, but because they need to know you won't break when life gets difficult. Pass those tests consistently, and her respect for you grows. Fail them, and she starts looking for the exit, which brings us to sign number 6. Sign number 6, you accept disrespect to keep the peace. This one is painful to talk about because it often comes from a good place. You don't want conflict, you want things to be smooth. So when she says something dismissive, you let it slide. When she cancels on you repeatedly, you make excuses for her. When she treats you as an option, you convince yourself it's temporary. But here's what actually happens. Every time you accept disrespect, you teach her how to treat you. You lower the bar, and once that bar is low, it rarely goes back up. A man who tolerates disrespect signals that he doesn't believe he deserves better. And if you don't believe it, she won't either. This doesn't mean you become aggressive or confrontational. It means you have standards, and when those standards aren't met, you're willing to walk away rather than compromise your self-respect. Here's the fix. Start recognizing what you're tolerating. Those small moments where something feels off, but you stay quiet, that's where it starts. You don't need to create drama, but you do need to acknowledge when something isn't acceptable. A simple, calm statement like, "That doesn't work for me," is more powerful than you realize. It tells her you know your worth. And a man who knows his worth becomes the kind of man she's afraid to lose. There's one more sign, and it ties everything together. Sign number 7. You chase women instead of your purpose. This is the sign that reveals everything. Because when a man prioritizes women over his own growth, every other sign on this list becomes inevitable. Think about it. When getting her attention becomes your main goal, you start seeking validation. You over-explain to win her approval. You let your health slide because you're too focused on her. You have no mission because she became your mission. You react emotionally because her opinion matters more than your own. And you tolerate disrespect because losing her feels worse than losing yourself. Every sign we've covered traces back to this one. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Women are not a finish line. They're not a reward for being a good man. They're a complement to a life you've already built. And when you flip that order, when you chase her instead of building yourself, you become the kind of man women leave. Here's the fix. Put yourself first, not in a selfish way, in a foundational way. Your growth, your health, your goals, your standards. These come before any relationship, because when you build yourself into someone of genuine value, you don't have to chase anyone. Women notice men who are building something, they're drawn to that energy. And the irony is, the less you chase, the more they come to you. That's sign 7. But there's something deeper I need to tell you. Something most videos like this won't say. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Becoming a low-value man isn't really about women at all. It's about your relationship with yourself. Every sign I just shared comes from the same place. A man who doesn't believe he's enough. A man who's looking outside himself for proof that he matters. A man who's lost connection with who he is and what he stands for. And here's the controversial part. Most men become low value because they were taught to be. Society told them that being a good man means putting everyone else first. That sacrifice equals love. That their needs don't matter as much as hers. But that's not love. That's self-abandonment disguised as virtue. The moment you stop abandoning yourself, everything changes. Not just with women, with your career, your friendships, your sense of purpose. Because when you know your own value, you stop tolerating less than you deserve in every area of life. This isn't about becoming selfish or cold, it's about becoming whole. A man who respects himself attracts respect from others. A man who prioritizes his growth becomes someone worth following. A man who refuses to abandon himself becomes the kind of man women genuinely admire. You weren't born low value, you were taught to act like it, and anything you were taught can be unlearned. The 7 signs I showed you today, they're not a death sentence, They're a diagnosis, and now that you can see them, you have the power to change them. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 7 signs hit closest to home? Was it the validation seeking, the over-explaining, or was it that final one, putting her before your own growth? Drop a comment below and tell me. Not because I'm curious, but because naming it is the first step to changing it. And when you share, you help other men realize they're not alone in this. I read these comments, every single one, because this isn't just content for me, this is a conversation. And every man who's willing to look at himself honestly is someone I want to learn from too. Here's what I want you to remember. Being high value isn't about being perfect. It's not about never making mistakes or having your life completely figured out. It's about awareness. It's about catching yourself when you slip and choosing to do better. The man who's willing to look at his patterns honestly, who's willing to confront uncomfortable truths, who's willing to grow, that's the man who becomes unforgettable. Not because he plays games or follows tricks, but because he's genuinely becoming someone worth respecting. You're not broken. You're not hopeless. You just needed someone to show you what was invisible. Now you can see it, and now you can change it. If this helped you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more content like this, you know what to do. I'll see you in the next one.